in the last stream, we were working on setting up an initial botania mana generation system using these ender flames here to produce mana, and this has been chugging away since the end of the last stream, continuing to produce mana because the Aeternalis fuel burns for just such a long time. But right at the end of the last episode, we did manage to get a Elven Gateway portal up and running. Unfortunately, you can't go through the portal, but you can throw items through to get other items back, and maybe even more importantly than that, we did manage to get our first Kekimura's flower, and because it has an EMC value, we can make a ton of these going forward, which should make mana generation substantially easier. Now, before we get started with that mana generation, and hopefully by the end of today's episode, we will get our first GAIA spirit from a GAIA fight, and maybe even our first GAIA ingot. Before we do any of that though, one thing I am going to do is something that I've been meaning to do for a little while, and that is replace the tier 3 speed upgrade in my Supremium leggings here with the tier 2 version. We did craft this before, and between streams I've just crafted the tier 2 augment again, because for the last few episodes here, I have been walking around this base with my pants off because the tier 3 speed augment is just way too fast. It's way faster than I need it to be, and it actively makes it harder to get around the base. So I've downgraded to the tier 2 speed upgrade. We'll see how that works out, but let's see if we can't get these Kekimura's flowers here automated. So for that, we're going to need a block that can place cakes down, and we're going to need to get more EMC links. Now, it's quite possible that this EMC link here, the one that we've been using for our rainbow generator, isn't good enough. This one can only import and export one item per second, and so it really depends on how many of these Kekimura's flowers we want to place down. If we put down a lot of them, it's quite possible they're going to eat more than one cake per second between them, and at that point we might need a higher tier of EMC link. Not that that should be too difficult, I don't think. The next tier of EMC link here costs 5 million EMC, which is quite expensive, but as of now we are up at 1.2 billion EMC in total, thanks to our netherite essence being automatically converted into dark matter and pumped into this EMC link right here. And on top of that, over here, we do also have now, I think, a full 2.14 trillion RF inside our draconic energy ball. And so as of right now, this extra 25 million FE per tick that we're generating is unfortunately just being deleted into the void. But those are problems for future, Isaac. Back over here, let's see. So I think, once again, I might use the modular routers to make this happen, because the modular routers are very easy for us to get. They do have an EMC value, and we have 45 of them in the system. They can be camouflaged, which is pretty nifty, and they also have a block placing augment that we can use to place blocks down all around the router, which I think is what makes it better than some of these other block places that you can get. The placer module is fairly easy. Blank module, dirt, and dispenser. The dispenser does require that we make yet another regular Minecraft bow. That is fine. And then we actually don't have enough in our inventory. That's fine. We can get more cobblestone and more redstone from our transmutation tablet. And that should be everything for the dispenser, at which point we can, of course, then make the augment itself just as soon as we grab a blank module from the tablet. And then once we have at least one of these modules, we can then duplicate that to as many as we like. And basically, for each one of these that you put into the router, it can place one block down on one side. So, for example, if we head back down to the lower level here, and we go to our botania section, I'm going to go ahead and move this. I think this is the center of the platform. It is. So we'll put the router right about here. We'll then move the mana pool for now. That is going to waste a little bit of mana, but I think that's fine. And we'll move the Kekimura's as well. Now, in here, what we can do is we can place these modules. If I right-click the module, just like before, we have the option to set up, down, left, right, back, or front. We'll go with front for now, and we'll place one of those in like this. Now, if I were to go ahead and put a cake in there, it should place that cake down in front of it. And it does. But we can take this one step further, and if we go ahead and get another module, set this one to left, let's say, and put that in, and put a cake in again. Now I'll put one down on the left, and you get the idea here. We can do it on the right, put that one in, and I'll put it down on the right. We can say do it at the back, put it back in, and it will put one down at the back, and we can even say put it down at the top. If we go and say up and put one of those in, it's going to go ahead and place a cake above it. And so now, if we were to put down some Kekimerus flowers around this, those are going to start to eat this cake, and if we can automatically pump cake into this modular router, then whenever a cake is fully eaten, that modular router will place a cake down in any of these 5 locations. On top of that, as we've seen before, we can of course get a camouflage upgrade, this one right here, and if we really wanted to, we could make that look like cake, drop that in, and now we have just a little collection of cakes that our Kekimerus flowers can consume. So what I think we'll do is we will dig out the block underneath the cake here, and it's interesting as well that the way the camouflage block works, you can, it takes on like the collision detection of the block that you're covering, which is really interesting because I think without this camouflage upgrade, we wouldn't be able to break that grass, but with the camouflage upgrade, we can actually break the grass beneath it, which is very interesting indeed. Either way, now that we have that there, let's go ahead and let's put the basic EMC link, I guess, that we want underneath the modular router, but as I just mentioned, I do think we want to upgrade that to a higher tier of EMC link. So if we want to get the dark EMC link, this requires just 2 dark matter, which we obviously have in abundance because we're making dark matter blocks downstairs. And so, boom, there is an upgraded EMC link that can do 2 items per second. We might want to take it one step further and get the red EMC link that requires some red matter, which is again fairly straightforward here. It's 3 dark matter with 6 Aeternalis fuel. That gets us 1 red matter if we craft something like this, and of course, as per usual, we can just EMC that into a second dark matter, which is then everything that we need to get the red EMC link. And I think for the time being, 4 per second is probably going to be fine, unless we put down a staggering number of Kekimerus flowers. I think 4 cakes per second is probably going to be good. So we'll put this here, and we'll right-click cake onto it, like so. That is now going to export cakes, and then up at the top here, all we need to do is get another one of the puller modules, and just set that to down. If we put that into our cake router, it should pull cakes from the bottom. It does indeed. And as per usual, we can also go ahead and get some speed augments. The stack augment's not really necessary here because of the fact that you can't pull a stack of cakes at once. And so the speed augments are going to be the best that we can do. Now, if we take a cake out, it should fill back up basically instantaneously. And so now it's just a case of actually putting down a mana pool. Let's say right about, I was going to say here, but what we might actually do is we might get a mana pool spreader. It is not what it's called. It is called a mana splitter. This is 2 mana steel with 6 living rock, and the idea behind this is that you can use it to split mana between multiple mana pools, up to a total of 4. And so what we can do here is we can place the mana splitter down. Let's say, you know what, right about here we'll do just fine. And then we'll put down 4 mana pools around it, like this. And so now, instead of having our mana spreaders shoot at the mana pools, we can have the mana spreaders shoot at the mana splitter, and it will distribute that mana amongst all 4 mana pools, basically giving us 4 times the capacity for mana before we have to come and, empty it out or deal with it, which is pretty nifty. So the next problem we're going to run into is that our mana spreaders can only move so much mana at a time. They can't move a ton of mana. And if we put down a bunch of cake flowers, we're going to produce too much mana for one mana spreader or even multiple mana spreaders quite quickly. Thankfully, if we type in mana spreader, there are multiple tiers of mana spreader that we can get. And although we can't quite get the GAIA mana spreader, because that requires a GAIA spirit and we have yet to fight the GAIA, we can get an elven mana spreader. This is made with an elementium and 6 dreamwood. Dreamwood you get by throwing living wood into the elven portal, and elementium you get by throwing mana steel into the elven gateway portal. And so let's go and grab some of our 69 nice living wood, and let's also grab some mana steel. We don't have that much, and so I'm just going to go ahead and grab some more blocks of iron. Let's drop those in over here. We'll do 1, 2, 3, let's say for now. Craft those down, and then downstairs we'll throw in maybe 16 living wood for now. That gets us 16 dreamwood, although for some reason we did only get 14 there, not quite sure why. And then let's throw through, oh, it's possible that you are right, chat, we might not have enough mana, because it does use a little bit of mana to complete the exchanges here. And so we might want to very quickly just get a little bit more mana out of this pool using our tablet. This mana pool is almost full now. And of course, one thing we can do here, even though we are about to set up a better source of mana, we can go ahead and drop, I think, like 1, 2, 3, 4 over here, and then the rest over here. And that's going to keep burning and keep this mana pool full, just in case we do need that little bit of extra mana for anything in a pinch. And then down here, we'll take the mana in this mana tablet and quickly distribute it between this mana pool and this mana pool. Once that's done, we actually did get our 2 extra Dreamwood, which is very nice indeed, and we'll do, let's say, 14 mana steel. This one is a 2-to-1 recipe, so 14 mana steel gets you only 7 elementium, so it's a 2-to-1 there. Either way, now we have that, we have the ability to make a couple of elven mana spreaders. So back over here, let's craft up a couple of these. Black petals again are fine, we've got those EMCable, and 2 might do for now, but we can always make more of those in a second if we need them. So I would prefer, actually, you know what, we can use regular non-floating Kekimoris flowers initially on the floor, and then if we want to go crazy with the mana, we can start stacking the Kekimorises on top of that afterwards. So let's do, initially, something like this. We'll put 1 mana spreader here, and we'll put the other mana spreader here. We can then get rid of the cobblestone here, not necessary, and we'll make sure that we bind both of these to the mana splitter. Now that those are down, if I place down a Kekimoris flower, it should automatically connect to its closest spreader. And it does. And I'll put down a couple of these around here, and we'll see how that goes. I think this is going to be like maybe too many Kekimoris flowers, but we should start to see mana coming in fairly quickly, and you'll see that, yeah, already these elven mana spreaders are saturated. Like, the mana is backing up inside the Kekimoris flowers, which means these are not sending mana fast enough. That is solvable in 2 ways. We can make more spreaders, and we can distribute the Kekimoris flowers amongst the multiple spreaders, but we can also make lenses to improve the rate at which the mana spreaders can move mana. So let's take the 32 Dreamwood that we just crafted, and we can use that to craft, let's say, maybe 2 more of these. You know what, we'll go for 5. No, we'll go for 6. Okay, 6 is good. And then if we type in lens into GAIA here, there are multiple lenses from Botania that we can craft to improve the default speed of the spreaders. The default mana lens is easy enough to make. It's 1 glass and 4 mana steel. Easy enough. But then we want to upgrade it to actually do something. So there is the velocity, the potency, the resistance, the efficiency, and then a few specialty lenses. Really, I think that velocity and potency are really all that we need to care about. The velocity lens increases the speed at which mana moves from the spreader to the mana pool, and if it can move faster, that means it can send more overall. The potency lens increases the amount that it sends per shot, and so they both kind of have a similar effect. One just makes it move faster, the other increases the amount it sends per burst. The good news is that you can make composite lenses that combine both effects, and so if we make a potency lens, which is a mana lens with a rune of air, again, unfortunately, you don't get to keep the rune of air this time, it does get used. The potency lens is just the same, but with a rune of fire. And then I believe if you combine both of these together with a slime ball, like this, you get a composite lens, potency, and velocity, which not only increases the speed at which the mana moves, but it also increases the amount per burst as well. And so if I put that down on here, that's now going to start sending more mana faster. Whether or not that's going to be enough is still a question, because these Kekimoris flowers do produce a lot of mana, but I think what we'll do here is we'll put down the remaining mana spreaders. Let's say, again, we want to try and keep them as close as possible to the splitter. So I might put 1 here and point that down at the splitter like that, and then we'll maybe put like 1 here and 1 here. It's a little cramped. I think it's fine though if we do this, and then maybe even this. We can then distribute the Kekimoris flowers amongst these elven spreaders to try and even this out, and then we'll also look at quickly crafting up, I guess, 5 more runes of air and 5 more runes of fire to allow us to craft 5 more of those composite lenses to make this, hopefully, pretty fast. One thing we can do up here to make our rune making that bit faster is replace this mana spreader with the elven mana spreader, and then if we wanted to, we could even go and steal that lens that we just made, that being the one on this guy. Just shift right click to take it off, and if we put that on here, that's going to send mana faster to the runic altar here, which is going to make it just a lot quicker for us to make a large number of runes. Right here, I've just made our first rune of air. We need to make 5 of them in total, so we can do this, and if I get my wand in time, which I didn't, we can do this. But then if we want to do the same again, right-click with an empty hand to add back the last recipe. So much like with the Petal Apothecary, you can just right-click, and you'll see on the right there that that fills up so much faster now that we have the new lens. And so this is going to be a lot quicker than it was previously to make a ton of the same rune. Alright, so I did kind of forget that you get 2 runes at a time here, so I have made 10 of each instead of 5 of each, but that is completely fine. We can never have too many runes, I'm sure. I also made some more mana steel here as well, and so now we should be able to make quite a few lenses. Again, we want to make maybe 12 of these. Annoyingly, very annoyingly, they do not stack. So let's get rid of a lot of this, and then let's just make quite a few of these. And we might even need more mana steel, actually, which is crazy. But once we have all those lenses, we then want to make 5, I guess 6, actually, because I do kind of want to leave 1 on the runic altar spreader as well. So let's see if we can't make 6 of these. Annoyingly, they don't shift-click in, but that's fine. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we'll do the exact same again for potency. Obviously, this time with the rune of fire, it looks like, thankfully, we do have the exact right number of lenses. That is perfect. We'll do that as well. And then now we just want to do the exact same thing that we did before, where we combine them together with slime to get the potency velocity lens. I am being told by the Twitch chat that it matters which order you put it in. I am not going to lie, I don't quite understand the reasoning behind that yet, but if you put potency and then velocity, you get a potency velocity lens. If you swap it around, you get a velocity potency lens. And I am being told by the Twitch chat that the one that we have here is the better of the two. You want to do potency first and then velocity after. And so I'm going to put my faith in the Twitch chat there and do potency, velocity on all of these. And then we'll go and we'll add these to all of the mana spreaders downstairs to hopefully get maximum cake mana production. All right, not that we necessarily needed it. Down here, these pools are very full. You'll see that even with the upgraded lenses, the few cakes that we have down here are still producing more mana than the spreaders can keep up with. They just can't move it out fast enough, and so we could do with potentially even more spreaders, but I think for now this is probably more than enough mana production for our current state of affairs. Now let's see if we can't fight this GAIA and get some GAIA spirit. So in order to fight the GAIA, we need to set up a kind of arena to spawn the GAIA in. Now, do we have a Lexica Botania? We do not. I think you can make a Lexica Botania, which is just the guidebook from Botania, with any sapling and a book. That is fine. We did teach our system, and by our system I mean our transmutation tablet here, how to make books, and so I'll take one of those and craft it with a sapling. That's going to get us the Lexica Botania, and then now that we have the Elven Portal, we can actually throw the Lexica Botania through the portal, like so, and we get an upgraded version of the Lexica Botania that has more information in it. If we go to entry index and type in GAIA, the ritual of the GAIA here is what we need to do. So we need a beacon, we need 8 blocks of iron, and then we need 4 of these GAIA pylons. So let's unbookmark some of this. I do still want to make the time in a bottle, but let's get a GAIA pylon bookmarked, and let's also get the beacon bookmarked as well. The beacon should be pretty straightforward. We should already have nether stars automated, and I'm fairly certain that we're probably backing up in nether stars over here. We are indeed. Look at that. We've got over a stack of nether stars just kind of backed up in that generator for us to use. And of course, right now, it really doesn't matter if that generator is online or not, because we're already maxed out on power. Any extra power that we're generating currently is just being deleted. Once we have the beacon, the 4 GAIA pylons require 4 mana pylons, which again are not too difficult to make, but we are just tearing through the amount of mana steel that we need. Again, thankfully, we've got so much mana that it really kind of doesn't matter. So I'll just take even more mana steel here and just drop that into the system. That should be everything, I think, to get the remaining 3 mana pylons. It is. And then to upgrade those to GAIA pylons, we need 8 pixie dust and 8 elementium. 8 elementium is equivalent to 16 mana steel, and then 8 pixie dust is just 8 ender pearls. So let's take 8 ender pearls. Let's drop those into any one of our now 5 mana pools that we have. We'll use this one right here. Fantastic. And if we go and drop all of that through the portal, that being the 8 mana pearls and the 16 mana steel, that should get us all of the elementium and all of the pixie dust that we need in order to craft up the 4 GAIA pylons. At which point, it's just a case of finding the space to actually get this built, because you do need quite a lot of space around the center structure, around this structure right here, in order for this to work. The Twitch chat does make a fairly good point here in that we do have quite a lot of space in the Twilight Forest. And so if we just kind of clear out a couple of trees here, that saves us building a slightly ugly looking big platform of dirt in the overworld. So we can take our axe and just quickly clear out some space. And then we'll put down, we'll also just ultimine out some grass here as well. We can place down the 8 blocks of iron, like this. I think you can put the 9th one in the middle, I don't think that matters. And then the beacon on top. And then if we take the Lexica Botania and click the little visualize button, we can then right-click that on the ground, which is easier said than done. Let me get rid of this pylon again. And actually, let's just get rid of the block underneath it. And then we'll right-click there. Now, that's going to give us an outline of where we need to put the pylons. So we want to have some pylons down, and I am kind of out of building blocks. Let's do this, this, and this, and then we'll place down 1, 2, 3, 4 GAIA pylons. We can then tear down the living rock, and now to activate the ritual here, all we have to do is right-click on the beacon with a terrasteel. So we don't have a terrasteel, but that's fine. We do have enough mana to make it happen. We also do need to have quite a bit of space around the ritual, though. It's not just enough to have the space inside of it. You need to have quite a bit of space around it as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and do quite a bit of terraforming here to get us a good amount of space. And then we'll head back and make yet another terrasteel like we did last episode. And then we'll see if we can't get this fight underway. Alright, there is our terrasteel, and I have cleared quite a bit of space out in the Twilight Forest. Now, one thing we do have to bear in mind is that you can get given the wither effect from the GAIA, and the wither effect kind of ignores your armor level. So one thing we could do is we could make the wither charm here from cyclic. If we have this, it will protect us from getting the wither effect, and so it might well be worth spending a minute to craft this. It requires 3 blocks of iron, 2 crystallized amber, and then 4 wither roses. Thankfully, we did accidentally let a wither escape a little while back, and so we do have the ability to EMC this wither rose here into many more wither roses. So the only thing we don't have in terms of getting the wither charm is just 2 crystallized amber, which actually looks very craftable. To make it, we just need a fire charge and a blaze. Fire charge just requires blaze powder, which we can get from blaze rods. And so if we make some of those, that should be everything we need to make the crystallized amber. I'll teach it, just because why not? But we can just craft the second one here, at which point the wither charm is done. Again, we can teach that as well, just in case we lose it, I guess. And if we right-click that, I think it's activated. I don't know. It says on right-click toggle. Oh, I see. We have to right-click in the inventory. Right, I see. So it is on right now, which is good. And just like with our Manacia monocle here, we can put it into one of our charm slots. That should give us the same protection. And so let's go see if we are strong enough. It's quite possible we might have to get stronger armor, but I think we have a fairly good chance here. I am going to make sure that our volume is a little lower because there is some quite loud music that comes along with this, but let us give this a try. I also don't know if I've cleared enough space, but there's only one way to find out, and that is to right-click the terrasteel onto here, and you'll see that it shows us this purple ring, and anything inside of there is too close. So these need to go. This tree here also needs to go. That's fine. And what else do we have? If I shift right-click again, that is this tree here, still too close. This little leaf right here is too close, and that might be it. It is. All right, there is the music that signifies the GAIA fight. If I'm not mistaken, the GAIA does disable flight. It does, yeah, so we can't fly. But our sword is quite strong, and we just need to chase him around and keep hitting him with the sword as we go. He did a big hit there, which I'm not happy about. And we're dead. Okay, fine. Right. So we can do a slash back. I'm pretty sure he disappears. He does. So we are going to have to get another terrasteel. That is fine. One thing we can do to make that fight maybe a little easier is get ourselves some Insanium apples. Again, much like with the Twilight Forest fights that we did, I'm going to take off the speed augment on the pants because the Insanium apple does also give us a speed boost. So let's go ahead and get some insanium apples. They should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, we just need some golden apples, which we don't have any regular apples. That is unfortunate. You can sift leaves to get apples, but that seems a little dicey. I think if we just get a normal sapling and then get our crook, I think we're pretty much guaranteed to get an apple here. So if I just take that and let's say grow it here, we can then do this, and there's my quote-unquote guaranteed apple. There we go. Okay, so now we've got an apple. Let's make sure we drop that in here so we can get more in the future. Unfortunately, the insanium apple doesn't have an EMC value, but the golden apple that's used to craft it does. And so if we do this and then type in apple, we can take a stack of golden apples and then craft those into insanium apples. We'll take a few of these. I think 4 is going to be enough. That would give us 12 minutes, which I don't think the fight is going to take that long. We get absorption, speed, resistance, regeneration, strength, and haste. I think that is pretty good. Let's take another ender pearl, another mana diamond, and another mana steel, and let's get another terra steel here, and let's try that again. All right, so there is another terra steel. Let's head back with our apples, and let's see if this helps us at all. We might still get killed. If we do, we might then want to look at getting some better armor. There is even more powerful armor that we can get from Project E. But first, let me remove some of these death points. And then let's try this again. So I'm going to right-click, shift right-click, and then we'll eat the apple as he spawns in here to maximize our chances. There we go. It took a little while to eat it, but that's fine. And then we just keep hitting him whenever we can. That was good. That was good. We do still have our feeding backpack, which will keep us fed as and when we need it. Once you get to about the halfway mark, he's going to switch modes, and he's going to start dropping mobs onto us. Kind of hard to see his health bar with the current setup here. There we go. Okay, he's up in the sky. Now he's going to drop a horde of mobs on us, which is fine. We can deal with regular mobs here. Hello, my friends. You guys are pitiful in comparison to the strength of my Insanium sword. And once we got past this wave of hostile mobs, we should just then be able to continue hitting him like we were doing a second ago. And we should be good, actually. I think we might be able to beat him here. Come on, come down. Come down. I think he's going to come down. There he is. All right. So it should just be a few more hits here, chat. There we go. We've done it. Look at that. He is dead, and we got 8 GAIA spirits as a reward there. Nice. So that should be a quest complete down here. It is indeed. So now we should be able to craft some GAIA spirit ingots here. These require a terra steel and then 4 GAIA spirits. And honestly, if we want to get the everlasting guilty pool, we might be able to do it. We have the 8 GAIA spirits here. Those are all done. The only thing we really need is the GAIA spirit ingots. So we need 4 of those, which is a total of 16 GAIA spirits. So if we do this fight 2 more times, we're good to go, right? Like we have the 8 here. If we do it 2 more times and we get 8 each time, we're going to get enough GAIA spirits to do the 4 GAIA spirit ingots. And then at that point, it's just a case of getting all of the mana pools, all of the diluted mana pools, and all of the fabulous mana pools, and we should be good to go. One thing we might want to do here is we might want to get some terra steel seeds. These are fairly straightforward. We just need 4 terra steel to get it going. But if we do that, then obviously if we're going to fight the GAIA twice more, we need to get 2 terra steel for that. And if we're going to make the everlasting guilty pool, we also need 12 terra steel for that. So instead of making, like 15 more terra steel, we can just make 4 and then use the seeds from there. So let's do a /home and let's put some of this junk that we got in the system. We'll put the GAIA spirits away for now. And if we grab 4 ender pearls along with 4 mana diamonds and 4 mana steel, we can see about getting 4 more terra steel. One thing that was suggested is that maybe we can move this spark. I don't know if the mana pools downstairs are close enough. All you have to do is right-click with the Wand of the Forest, and that will pop off the spark. And then let me see. If I put this down here, I think this is too far away, but if I put that there, that is kind of inside of this mana spreader. Let's see if that works. Let me first make these mana pearls, and then if I do 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's too far away, which is unfortunate, actually. It's probably, though, worth moving this setup because of the fact that we're just generating mana so much faster downstairs. And although we can move the mana upstairs using the mana tablet, it's just not particularly fast. And so what I think we will do instead is maybe right here in front of the portal, actually, we'll throw down the terrestrial agglomeration plate again with the spark attached to this mana pool. And that one is basically going to stay full almost the entire time, because as we pull mana out of that pool, all 6 of these mana spreaders are all going to just fill up this one pool because the other pools are all completely full now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2. And then now, if we put down the spark again, like so, with 1, 2, 3, that should work and should go quite fast. And you'll see over here that all of those kick back into gear, and this is kind of holding somewhat steady. It's going down, but very, very slowly. And so we should be able to make 4 terra steel here fairly quickly. And then from there, we can look at crafting the terra steel seeds. And once we have those, we can just do what we've done myriad times before and get a bunch of terra steel essence using the sprint and ultimine method. And then once we've got a bunch of terra steel essence, we can craft all those terra steel, and then we can use that to fight the GAIA some more and look towards crafting the everlasting guilty pool. I'm being told by the Twitch chat that if we put more sparks down, like on all of the mana pools, that this might go faster. So let's craft one more spark here, and let's just EMC that to get like 3 more of them. And if we put these 3 sparks on the other 3 mana pools, I'm being told that that might be faster. So if we do 1, 2, 3, and then we go in for our 3rd terra steel here, 1, 2, 3, that is a lot faster, actually. You'll see all of that moving substantially quicker, and you can see all the particle effects coming from all of those mana pools. Look at that. Fantastic. And then here is our 4th one. Real nice. Okay, upstairs, I think we do have supremium, and if we don't, we can always get it from some insanium, which I think we do have. We do indeed. Let's take 4 supremium, which I think is what we needed for the terra steel seeds. Let me quickly check. It is indeed. We are out of prosperity seed bases, but that's fine. We can craft up some more and take 1 of those. The final terra steel should be done. It is indeed. And then back over here, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom, and boom. And there we go. It is true that with this much mana, we probably don't need these seeds, but now that we have them, we can go ahead and tear these down, drop the seed down, and do a little bit of sprinting and harvesting. And of course, as we get more seeds, we can plant those down, and it shouldn't take as long to get just a staggering amount of terra steel. Okay, so that is a lot of terra steel. We could keep going here to fill up the plot, but I don't think it's necessary. I think this many stacks of terra steel essence is probably good enough. Jeez, we got so many seeds there. That's crazy. Either way, let's go back over here and let's craft up some terra steel. We get 2 at a time, and so boom, there are well over a stack of terra steel, and I did just put my X away. Not that we necessarily need it just yet, but let's go ahead and take 2 terra steel with us, because we just need to go and fight the GAIA 2 more times. We've got 3 insanium apples, and so we should be good on that front, just so long as we don't leave them on the floor here. That would not be ideal. Let's go through, and let's see if we can't do this 2 more times here, chat. Nice. Okay, that's GAIA fight 2 of 3 complete. And one thing we can do here, if we want to push the boat out a little bit, is we can fight a harder GAIA fight, which I believe just requires a GAIA spirit ingot. The harder fight does give you more GAIA spirit as a reward. Not that we necessarily need it, but if we check the Lexic of Botania here, I believe that it might tell us about the harder GAIA fight. Yeah, Ritual of the GAIA 2. It says, let's have a look. One would think that combining two of the most powerful botanic resources known, Terra Steel and GAIA Spirits, would create a material that will be truly unstoppable. Unfortunately, the reality is that said material is very much stoppable. In fact, the two sets of energies seem to cancel out almost perfectly when combined into an ingot, yielding some utterly useless alloy. This ingot, however, can be sacrificed to a beacon to summon an even stronger GAIA Guardian with more strength, speed, and resistance. So, it's possible this is a bad idea and we might die, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to head on through. We're going to take our last apples here. If we shift right click on the same beacon, this time with the GAIA Spirit, we get a different soundtrack and a harder fight. And there we go. It looks like we get a lot of runes actually as rewards here. I will take every single last one of those because these are a bit of a pain to make. So I will definitely not say no to free runes. We also get, by the looks of it, some mana steel, some mana diamonds maybe? Oh no, mana pearls is what we've got there. If I can get the right item. There it is. Okay, perfect. And we also got a ton more GAIA spirits as well, which I definitely will not say no to. And so now if we slash home, I think that should be everything, because now we've got 28 GAIA spirits. We need 8 of those to craft up the actual guilty pool itself, and then we only needed 16 more after that. So we've got way more than we needed, and we've also got a bunch of these different runes, like the Rune of Pride, the Rune of Sloth, the Rune of Winter I think we already had, but we can use those going forward for different crafts. The Rune of Spring is also one that we got there as well. And so, yeah, I think we basically have everything we need now, chat, in order to actually craft the everlasting guilty pool. The only thing we don't have is the ultimate crafting table. Chat is asking here that I open up the dice. This will give us a relic, I believe. We got the Fruit of Gracia? I'm not quite sure what it will do. It says Relic, Soulbound to GamingOnCaffeine. That's me. We also got 2 Epic Shader grab bags. We can open those as well to get some stuff. I think we got an Overgrowth Seed there potentially, and a Shader Taken. Oh no, I think we got the Shader Twily. Overgrowth Seed's pretty good though as well, actually. We'll put these away for now. I don't know if we necessarily need them. If we want to make the ultimate crafting table, there's a little bit of auto crafting that's probably going to be useful here because it is kind of a lot of micro crafting. To make it, we need 2 of the previous tier table, the elite. For that, we need 2 of the previous, which is advanced. And for that, we need 2 of the previous, which is basic. And for that, we need 2 of the previous, which is crafting. So they all also require different tiers of component and catalyst. These are fairly straightforward. Black iron does have an EMC value, and it's just 1 black dye and 1 iron. Do we have a black dye in the system? We totally do, and so we should be able to get black iron fairly easily, and then just do something like this, type in black iron, and then grab a few stacks of the stuff. I don't know if the catalysts do have an EMC. Okay, in that case then, let me go ahead and just go to extended crafting, because normally I would auto-craft this, but we might not necessarily need to. We do also need some of this luminescence. This is glowstone, redstone, and gunpowder. We'll take that, drop that in, and then luminescence. We can go ahead and grab a few stacks of that as well, just to make our lives a little bit easier. And then from there, let's go and start with each component, which is this here. We also actually do need to start with the black iron slate. That's fine. We'll craft a ton of those. And then let's get a basic component. Let's get an advanced component. Let's get an elite component. And of course, let's get an ultimate component. We can then drop each one of those into here, as well as some more of the black iron now, I guess. And then if we type in component, we can then go and take a stack of each of those, which should be more than enough. And then we can do the same thing with the catalysts here. We'll get a basic, an advanced, an elite, and an ultimate. Again, drop those back into here. And now if we type in catalyst, we can take a stack of each of those because we've got 1.6 billion EMC. And so now, if we have crafting tables, which is bizarrely, I think, the only thing that we might be missing here, we can go ahead and hopefully craft 2 of the basic crafting tables. We can. And then we can use that to craft up 2 of the advanced crafting tables. Oh, we need 4 of them, of course. That's my bad. Because we need 2 for the future ones. We need a lot more of these. I completely forgot that we do need more than I made. That's fine. We do have what it takes. Let me put all of these in the system so I don't have to keep shift clicking multiple times. So we'll take 2 of you. That's going to get us 2 of these, but that then only gets us 1 of these. So I actually need even more of these. Let me make another 2 of those. Should put the crafting tables away as well. That should allow us to make 3 more of these. Chat is right. The tables do have an EMC value. And so you know what? Never mind. Let me just go ahead and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think we need that many of them, but why not? They are essentially free. And then let's do something like this. And we do need a block of diamond for that. That is completely fine. Block of diamonds have an EMC value. And so boom and boom. Again, we didn't need this many of them. That's fine. Table, table, 2 tables gets us the ultimate table, which is everything. Then we just need a block of emerald. Do we have 9 emeralds in here? We do indeed. Let's do something like this and this, and we have the ultimate crafting table. So we'll get rid of this for now, and we'll also get rid of this for now. I don't think we need either of those currently. Let's put our ultimate table down in the corner, and I'm pretty sure that the ultimate table does retain its inventory. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that does stay in there, which is very handy. So now we need to craft 4 GAIA spirit ingots. And one thing we can do, of course, with the extra GAIA spirits is craft up even better mana spreaders. Not that I necessarily think we're going to need them, but if we wanted to, we could look at crafting those as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We then need a bunch of terra steel, which we have. Let's do 3, 6, 9, 12 without that one there. And then the only other thing we need now, everlasting guilty pool. The only things left are fabulous mana pools, diluted mana pools, and regular mana pools. And bizarrely, those are going to be the hardest things because I don't think we have enough living rock to make that many pools. We can make 12. We also are going to need our wand of the forest. We're going to have to sacrifice that in the center here. But we need 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20 mana pools, I think. Not including the fact that we also need to make these diluted mana pools, which are made with living rock slabs. And so I think we are going to have to go ahead and get the pure daisy back out, along with a bunch more stone, to allow us to start transmuting just a ton of this. Again, we can take stone out of the table, like this, and we can use our exchanging gadget to make this quicker. And I think once again, I might head back through to the Twilight Forest just because there's so much space. And if we set the exchanging gadget to its maximum range, it can cover a very large area and allow us to transform a lot of it all at once. All right, so I've placed down a bunch of pure daisies, and just like before, we're going to put down the stone, shift right click that. And then now if we just shift right click here, we should be able to do it in one swoop. Look at that. We got a few stacks of living rock, and these are now going to start their process. And so I'm hopeful that, 2, maybe 3 cycles of that, and we should have, hopefully, enough living rock to craft all of the remaining mana pools, diluted mana pools, and fabulous mana pools. All right, so I'm going to do one more transmute there, but I think this should be enough. So, back in here, we need a bunch of mana pools in all of these slots. Let's make a few more, and then we'll look at making some diluted mana pools. And then after that, we also need to look at making some fabulous mana pools as well. So I think it was just like that, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check the everlasting mana pool. that is correct. So now we need a bunch of diluted mana pools here. Those, again, are pretty straightforward. It's just a bunch of living rock slabs that we craft like this, and that gets us the diluted versions. That is fine. And then the only version that's going to be slightly more difficult is the fabulous mana pools, because those require the Rod of the Bifrost. So this one here kind of just goes all the way around these. I think like this. And then I think it's just these remaining 16 slots, yeah, that require the fabulous mana pools. These are made by crafting either 5 Shimmer Rock or 1 mana pool with 5 Bifrost block. And the Shimmer Rock, it's the same either way, because the Bifrost block is an Elf Glass with a Rod of the Bifrost. The Rod of the Bifrost is fairly straightforward. Let me bookmark the mana pool here, and then Rod of the Bifrost. This requires Dragonstone, Pixie Dust, and Elementium. The Elementium we've already had. We need 4 Mana Steel to get 2 more Elementium. The Pixie Dust we already had. We need 2 more Mana Pearls to get 2 more Pixie Dust. And then the Dragonstone is just the final piece of the equation. It is a Mana Diamond. Look at that. We had just the right amount of Mana Diamonds, I think, actually, to complete the pool, which is surprising. But if we throw this through, we get the Dragonstone. If we go and transmute these and throw this through with this, I think that's basically everything we need. Let's go see if we can't put that all together into the Rod of the Bifrost. We totally can. And then Elf Glass is regular glass, which we can EMC, turned into Mana Glass, I believe, which doesn't have an EMC, and then thrown through the portal. That gets you Elf Glass. Yeah, so we're going to want to take a bunch of this, drop it in here. It's doable, I think, if you get the right angle. There we go. That gets a bunch of Mana Glass, and then we want to take all of that Mana Glass and throw it through the portal here to get a bunch of Elf Glass. And if we're going to make 16 fabulous mana pools, that means we're going to need, I think, 80 Elf Glass. And so for that, we are going to need more regular glass. Let's take another stack. Let's drop all of that in here. All right, there's a stack and a half of Elf Glass, which should be everything. So back over here. I think it's going to be easier if we just do this method where we craft a stack with the Elf Glass. Oh, of course, we have to first craft the Elf Glass with the Rod of the Bifrost, like this, to make it into Bifrost block, which is pretty nifty. It's like a color-changing glass, and when you put it down, it does still do this color transformation, which is real nice. But if we do this and this, as well as this and this, you'll see that we have more than enough living rock here. We can then do this. That gets us 12. And then if we do this, we can get 13, 14, 15, and 16. And chat, I think with that, we have our first creative item of the series in the form of the Everlasting Guilty Pool. Let's check off the endgame quest line and get our no reward for making that happen. Look at that. So now, we don't really need this cake setup that we set up mere moments ago at the start of this episode, but we now have the access to infinite mana through the Everlasting Guilty Pool. I'm going to set this aside for now because I think our cake setup is doing a fairly fine job, because we do need this Everlasting Guilty Pool for the eventual end crafting of the creative chest. In fact, we need 2 of them to make it happen. So we do need to get another 24 GAIA spirits. We have 4 of them. And so if we do like 2 more tier 2 GAIA fights, or maybe 3 more tier 1 GAIA fights, we should be able to get that. And so getting the next Everlasting Guilty Pool for this final craft really shouldn't be a problem. But that is kind of basically, I think, everything Botania related that we need to do in the pack, apart from, of course, the time in a bottle. But I think I'll save that for the next episode. Next time we'll come back, and I think we'll just, from here on out, start picking different creative items and working through what we need to work through to get to them, right? We need to do a little bit of work on the power mod in order to get like these Niotic crystals to make the creative energy cell. We're probably going to have to massively increase the production of our Insanium essence. Right now we've got a fair bit of Insanium, but I think we're going to need a ton of it to get all of the creative essence required. At some point, we are going to have to set up the production for Ultimate Singularities. The Everlasting Guilty Pool here is really one of the only creative items that doesn't require the Ultimate Singularity. A lot of the other ones here do require it, and so we'll have to look at setting that up as well. But yeah, we'll come back and we'll get some creative essence. Maybe we'll get some other creative items, and we'll slowly but surely work our way towards this creative chest. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Mystical Block there.